So, half-time at the Etihad Stadium, and it's Manchester City 1, Burnley 0. Welcome back to Matchday Live with myself, Kel Spellman, and joining me in the studio, we have got two City legends in the form of Shaun and Trevor Sinclair. Shaun, I'll come to you. Assessment of the first half.
Well, I think the only concern I'd have is the odd time when they've broken on us. Burnley have surprised me. Shaun Dyche has been brave by leaving one up, and on occasions they've been able to just get that ball down the side or over the top, and it's just made it look a little concerning. But City dominating possession. I think it's some 72% domination of possession. Some really good play. Not as clean as we'd normally see City, and I think it's probably because, again, the transition to come from an international break, games, and then coming in. But again, still some really good stuff from City, and I was quietly sitting and hoping for a second goal so my 5 goals could be on. But I was also nervous because Burnley would go in now and thinking they perhaps should have had a goal in the times that they've broken at least perhaps one goal for themselves.
We spoke about the quick start before the game, and we got that with the goal, and we kind of seemed to as we say, feel very relaxed. But then the last 5-10 minutes there, just kind of Burnley just seemed to find a little something. Do you think there's much room for concern there going into the second half?
Well, you've always got to be ready for what if, 72% possession, obviously dictating play. You've got to be organised at the back, be able to deal with any counter attacks. And you see with Cornet and his pace, that's a real risk. So they must be switched on. That's communication between both Stones and Laporte. Laporte there just getting mistiming his challenge. I think he slipped a little bit, but certainly warranted a yellow card. So he's got to be careful as well. Be interesting to see what Pep thinks of that. Maybe he might think about bringing Nathan Ake inside and resting him just in case that second yellow card. It could bring a little bit more jeopardy to the second half. But in general, they've played the ball well. As you said at the top, coming back from international duties, they've only had Thursdays, probably Friday you don't do a lot, but Thursday maybe a little bit work together. So you can see that they're a little bit rusty, but in general it's been decent. One or two, I think, you look at Mahrez, I would expect a little bit more from him today. Raheem's been very quiet, although he could have been picked out for one of the chances that City produced for a tap-in. He wasn't picked out, and that chance went away.
Let's look at that first goal then, Shaun, and it was it kind of been building. We were passing it, as we've seen us do so many times, around the edge of the box, and then when we decided to go for it, it was a beautifully worked goal, wasn't it?
Yes, well, the ball, in terms of it, ends up with Foden inside the box, and it looks as though he started to step to sort of steady himself. It has a beautiful shot, and the keeper's done well, really, because we always know that when there's going to be shots against Burnley, there's always going to be bodies in and around, because unless City is not going to counter-attack on them, because, again, they have that low block, and City's got to maneuver the ball. But it ends up with Foden. He has his shot. Keeper goes down, saves it beautifully. And Bernardo Silva's there for the tap-in. So City, we really pleased. I mean, I said early on that normally if we score in the opening 15 minutes, we go uncomfortable. So I was hoping a second goal will come. But City be pleased with that and would look to come out strong in the second half.
Just let's touch upon our goal scorer. I'm sure we might be speaking about him a lot more at full time. But that's another great first 45 minutes, wasn't it, Trevor?
Yeah, I think he was integral. Everything Manchester City did that was good and positive and quick. It went through Bernardo. He got his goal, Fox in the box. He's seen that Phil Foden's getting the shot off. He's followed it. And I think it was unfortunate really for Burnley because it's a decent save, not into an area where, the rebound can't be scored. But I think they had a defender in there and he's almost gone past the ball and it's ended up at Bernardo. He's timed his run perfectly, finished that well. They've created one or two good chances, Manchester City, but just, again, like we said earlier, just like mishitting things, taking the wrong option. I think always when you play against a team that probably have less talent than you on the pitch and they get a deep block, if you start ignoring the long shot or the shot from the edge of the box, it makes it easier for the team defending. So I'd like to see us do as we're doing into that final third and then getting players who've got a decent shot from the outside of the box, getting them on the edge, start drawing a few players out by taking shots, because if you continue to take shots, you're going to score goals from 25 yards out, 20 yards out. So start executing that better when you get into them positions, getting the shots, threatening, getting shots on target. You'll soon pull a few players out and then you start being able to put a little bit of disguise on and utilising that space and getting into different areas of the pitch. But in that first 45 minutes, I don't think we did that well enough.
No, and the only one we did take is where the goal came from,
Exactly,
isn't it? Yeah,
exactly.
spot on. We've had a message here, WM of the initials, I think it came in our WhatsApp, it just said it's great to see Zach Stefan back in goal. And actually, popped up in a few key moments, Shaun, and a very commanding first 45 minutes, I thought.
Yes, how calm is he, by the way? I mean, I'm panicking, and balls go back to him, and he's really calm. He's really showing that composure and calmness that you need, and he's just finding that pass, and then City go playing through the thirds. But again, on the one-on-one, put himself nice and big, and goes and almost commends the position as saying I'm in control of this, and makes himself big, and some forwards, if they're not calm and used to that, they sort of panic, and as opposed to them being in control of the situation with the ball. So Stefan with one or two brilliant saves, but I like the way he came out, really imposed himself big and makes a save.
Absolutely. Well, we asked for your questions, of course, throughout the show. You can get in touch via our WhatsApp and put them to our guests in the studio. I'm going to begin with this one from Alana, and it's for you both, but Trevor, I'm going to come to you. If you could play with any current City player, who would it be and why?
Ooh, big question. Tough one. I'd probably say Kevin De Bruyne. Just because he's done it for a good few years at the club. I love his energy. I love the way he responds in difficult situations as well, because last season there was a couple of difficult games that I was at commentating on, and it looked like it wasn't quite happening for Manchester City. He almost grabs the game by the scruff of the neck and says, listen, I'm taking over. Uses physicality, almost like a bully. Uses physicality, gets on the ball, starts really forcing the intensity at the club and raising the standards. And it's almost he's the catalyst for the rest of the players to start booking their ideas up and do better. So if there's any one player, it would probably be him.
What about for yourself, Shaun?
Is that because he'll get you the ball so you can get your one-on-ones?
Absolutely. Yeah, he'll ram it down the throat, say, get your crosses in, and I'll get in the box. So, yeah.
Listen, Kevin De Bruyne. I was sitting there thinking, who else can I choose apart from Kevin De Bruyne? Kevin De Bruyne as a forward is a dream, because even when he's out wide, he delivers such a great cross, you know. And when he's in that midfield area, and you see even today, we had a situation with 3-on-3, and the wide players they're just thinking he's going to roll it to him, and he does. So you're going to get opportunities. You're going to be fed. Kevin De Bruyne would be an absolute dream to play with.
If it's from the last generation, if I can just extend on that, I'd love to have played with David Silva.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to have played with David. I mean, he's possibly one of my favourite midfielders ever to play in the Premier League.
Agreed.
Just love the way he plays, and what an absolute brilliant servant he was for the club.
The magician, we do. We miss him, don't we? We have got the presentation taking place in just a second, of course, but I'm going to give you another question. And only, Trevor, I'm going to put this to you because you mentioned it as well, and you always kind of forget. But it came from Liam on WhatsApp and said, what are the players thinking when they come back from an international break?
It depends. There's a lot of different scenarios. If they've come back from a difficult game and a loss with the international team, they'll probably be glad to get back to the safe haven, get back to a great coach, because obviously different nationalities have different coaches with different philosophies. So this is their bread and butter. So I'm sure a lot of them are glad to get back. Look at the facilities here, obviously over at the Etihad training camp. They're probably pleased to get back, get back amongst world-class players, because that's what we've got at the football club. So in a lot of respects, at this club, they're probably a bit relieved to get back to the bread and butter and really enjoy playing the football that Pep helps them play.
Yeah, brilliant. Great question. That. Thank you very much for that from Liam. Now, behind us, you can probably hear some big cheers as well, but we were talking about before the game, there was a special presentation taking place. There were 4 players that unfortunately didn't get medals when we won the Division 1 football. I think it was in the 67-68 season. And there is Mike Summerby now handing out those medals that they missed out, because the club got a smaller allocation, so wasn't able to give them to all the players who, of course, played a crucial role in, of course, the success of that year, but also the 60s as a whole. We have Bobby Kennedy there on the left. And that is Paul Hinds and Harry Dowd's sons, of course, Harry, who lately passed not too long ago. And we have Stan Horn at the end there as well, who's now receiving his medal from Mike Summerby, rightly so. And tell you, right, just checking. But I mean, it must be, Shaun, so nice. I think obviously sad that they missed out, but now to have had this kind of little moment just to kind of acknowledge that what they did in for the club.
I know internally they must be so buzzing about the fact that this is happening, because again, as you say, having missed out then, but today, to receive their medals. I'm sure they're really chuffed with this, and I'll be really pleased myself, to know that I missed out on that moment, and this has been organised through the club, etc. I'm sure they're very excited.
Really are. And there's a great full-length interview with some of the people you can see there, standing as well on the right. We played a little clip earlier. That is really well worth the watch, actually, because they kind of speak about that year, and then of course as well the success that happened during the 60s and then what has come after. So you can catch that on the Man City website. That is the trophy there as well. That was in question that they helped win in that 67-68 season. I wanted to ask now, we're going into the second half. Burnley had a little flurry there at the end, Trevor. Now, what do you think will be being said to the players at half-time, and how will they approach the second half?
Well, I think from Pep's perspective, I think we were a little bit off it. So I said to you, I think they'll get a little bit of a rocket because, just sloppy, fundamental stuff like your first touch. If it's a little bit too tight and you don't think the chances of success are good, recycle the ball, stick to the process, stick to our philosophy. And I think we've not really executed that superbly well in that first half. So I think there'll be a little bit... He'll be a little bit peeved off with that, Pep. So I think he will get into one or two players. You possibly see a couple of changes. I think when you talk about the Burnley, more of the same for that last 10 minutes. You know, they've stuck in there. They've been under a lot of pressure, a lot of opportunities where they've got to defend. But I think they've been brave. We mentioned him before the game, Dwight McNeil. I think it's his 104th Premier League game. He's only 21.
Wow,
if you think about what the passage and the pathway that we've been talking about with Phil Foden, he's got 70-odd games. The same age. We both play for, obviously, Phil doesn't play for the 21s now, but Dwight McNeil playing for the 21s. I think he's a real good player for the future. I think he's got a great opportunity to potentially be in that top 8, top 6 class of players. He's shown there with that little bit of movement. He got it onto his left foot, put the ball in for corner for the one-on-one. It was a great save by Stefan. But just going back, if you don't mind, looking at them four boys there, old boys, receiving their medals, what a great tribute. And I think that just speaks volumes for the football club and tells you what this football club's all about. And by the way, the gold as well, them medals.
I know, there's actually, like that going. A little twinkle in my eye. You've seen it, didn't you? And well, you mentioned maybe some changes, Shaun. You'll be going into a coaching role. Were there any, looking at our bench, who would you be maybe looking to possibly if we needed to freshen things up a little bit? Of course, as well, we've got that big game with Bruges in the middle of the week in the Champions League.
If anything, and there's no need to do anything at this moment, but, you look at someone like Gundogan. For me, he's a player that gets in between his centre-back and the full-backs, making runs. So sometimes when those crosses are coming in, he just finds a way to get in those places. We got Grealish, we know, can run in off the line and is the most foul player. So he's liable to win your penalty and also an assist. So, we've got there's so much quality that we have in terms of choices. But from Burnley's point of view, as Trevor said, the last 10 minutes, Shaun Dyche, this will probably been his best team talk, having played against City, because the last 10 minutes, they'll be really pleased with what they've done. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, gents, thank you so much. Let's quickly just bring up our cryptic City clue in case you want to have one last look at it before we go back out for the second half, and then I'm going to reveal the answer at full time. We think we've nailed it here in the studio. Thank you to Trev. He is... He's come in on his first Matchday Live and absolutely smashed it, we think. But there is Eli Howard on WhatsApp has sent us a message, and I can tell you, Eli, that you are correct. He says, give us a shout out. I'm at home with COVID on my birthday, so can't attend. Season ticket holder for 30 years. Well, this is for you. Little shout out, and I'll give you a shout out at full time as well. But you are correct, my friend. City till I die, indeed. So, we will be back at full time, Trevor and Shaun and I. Until then, though, we've got some more goals to be talking about. And as well, City Plus. If you're not all footballed out by the end of this game, the EDS are taking on Leicester, which should be a great game. We know they've got two great academies in the form of ours and Leicester's. So that's taking place, and you can actually see that on City Plus. So if you want to watch that game later on, get it on City Plus. It'll be well worth your time. But for now, let's hope for some more goals as we take on Burnley in the second half here at the Etihad. Come on, City.